Warning: what you are about to hear is the sound of pure, unfiltered power. Today, we are not looking at trucks, we are waking up sleeping giants. These are the 10 rarest, most legendary military beasts that history tried to forget. We have 8 A8 monsters that drink 100 liters of fuel for breakfast and engineering so complex it looks alien. Why is nobody talking about the Colossus at number 7? And wait until you see the Soviet giant that carries nuclear missiles at the end. You cannot find these on the street, and you certainly cannot buy them. Prove you are a true gearhead. Crush that subscribe button right now, stay to the very last second, and let's unleash the beasts, because these machines are the true, undisputed kings of the battlefield. We begin our journey with a British icon that became the face of the North African campaign during World War II, the AEC Matador. Produced by the Associated Equipment Company, famous for London's double-decker buses, the Matador was introduced in 1938 as a medium artillery tractor. It was specifically designed to tow the heavy 5.5-inch medium gun and the legendary 3.7-inch anti-aircraft gun across rough terrain. While it looks charmingly vintage today with its curved roof, in the 1940s this truck was the absolute lifeline of the Royal Artillery. Under the hood sat the AEC 7.6-liter diesel engine, producing about 95 brake horsepower. While the top speed was modest at around 30 mph, the Matador was built for torque, not racing. It featured a permanent four-wheel drive system and high ground clearance to traverse soft desert sands where other vehicles bogged down. The cab was made of ash wood framed with steel, a construction method that seems archaic now. Its 7-ton gross weight allowed it to remain relatively agile while pulling massive loads through the unforgiving desert environment. The legacy of the Matador extends far beyond the war. After 1945, thousands were sold as surplus and became the backbone of the British recovery and forestry industries due to their durability. They were so over-engineered that many remained in commercial service well into the 1970s. Seeing a Matador today is a rare treat, a reminder of a time when trucks were hand-assembled and built to last forever. It stands as a symbol of British resilience, slow, steady, and absolutely unstoppable in the face of adversity. When people think of American trucks in WW2, they usually recall the GMC, but the Studebaker US6 was the unsung hero that saved the Eastern Front. Produced between 1941 and 1945, this 2.5-ton 6x6 truck was almost exclusively sent to the Soviet Union under the Lend-Lease Act. While the U.S. Army preferred other models, the Red Army fell in love with the Studebaker. Unlike its American counterparts, the Studebaker was designed to be incredibly robust in sub-zero temperatures and tolerant of poor conditions, making it perfect for the harsh Russian winter. The heart of the US6 was the Hercules JXD engine, a 3120 cubic inch inline-six petrol engine pumping out 94 horsepower. It was mated to a 5-speed transmission, giving it a distinct advantage over the 4-speed Russian trucks. The Soviets used the US6 for everything, but most famously as the mounting platform for the terrifying Katyusha rocket launchers, known as Stalin's organs. The screaming sound of rockets launching from the bed of a Studebaker became one of the most defining and terrifying sounds. The Studebaker US6 is legendary because it represents the critical bridge between American industrial might and Soviet warfare strategy. Joseph Stalin himself sent a personal letter of appreciation to Studebaker, acknowledging that without these trucks, the Red Army's mobility would have been severely crippled. Today, finding an original US6 in the United States is incredibly rare because so few remain domestically. They are the ghosts of the Eastern Front, machines built in Indiana but forged their eternal legend in the deep snows of Stalingrad. If the Jeep was the eyes of the Allied forces, the GMC CCKW was undoubtedly its legs. Known affectionately as the Jimmy or the Deuce and a Half, this truck is arguably the most significant transport vehicle in military history. With over 560,000 units produced, it was the standard by which all other military trucks were measured. The CCKW 353 was the long wheelbase version that fueled the famous Red Ball Express, the massive convoy system supplying Allied forces moving rapidly through Europe after the D-Day invasion. Powered by the GMC 270 engine, a 270 cubic inch inline-six producing roughly 91 net horsepower, the Jimmy was a marvel of mass production reliability. It featured a 6x6 drivetrain with a top speed of 45 mph, which was lightning fast for a convoy truck in 1944. Its standardized design meant parts were interchangeable and repairs were simple, allowing it to run through mud, water, and snow day in and day out. The split-axle and banjo-axle variants are details that collectors still obsess over today. The Jimmy didn't just win the war, it built the peace that followed. After W2, these trucks were left all over the world, helping to rebuild Europe and serving in the Korean War. The sight of a CCKW with its canvas cargo cover and open cab is the definitive image of American liberation. While they are not as rare as the Studebaker, finding one in original, unmodified condition is becoming increasingly difficult. It is a true legend, a machine that proved that superior logistics wins wars. Now we move to the heavyweights with the Scammell Pioneer, a British beast that redefines the concept of heavy haulage. Introduced in the late 1920s and serving throughout W2, the Pioneer was not a general cargo truck. It was a specialized tool designed for the impossible jobs like tank recovery. Unlike the American 6X6, the Pioneer was typically a 6x4, driving only the rear wheels. However, its suspension system was a work of genius that gave it off-road capabilities that rivaled any all-wheel drive vehicle of its time. The Pioneer utilized a unique walking beam, rear suspension with a single central axle shaft, driving chains to each rear wheel. This allowed for incredible articulation. One wheel could be 2 feet higher than the other, and the truck would keep moving. Powering this slow-moving giant was the Gardner 6LW diesel engine, producing 102 horsepower. It wasn't fast, top speed was barely 24 mph, but the torque was earth-shattering. It could tow a disabled tank through thick mud without breaking a sweat, proving that speed isn't everything. The Scammell Pioneer is legendary for its raw mechanical purity. It had no power steering, no synchronized gears, and no heating, meaning driving one required immense physical strength and skill. It represents an era of over-engineering where function dictated form entirely. The Pioneer SV2S recovery variant, equipped with a massive sliding crane, saved countless tanks from being abandoned on the battlefield. Today, the Scammell Pioneer is a holy grail for collectors of British armor, a slow, noisy, and magnificent testament to heavy engineering. If the Scammell was the brute, the Diamond T was the aristocrat. The Diamond T980, also known as the M19 tank transporter, is widely considered one of the most beautiful military trucks ever built. Produced in Chicago, this 12-ton 6A4 truck was designed to haul the heaviest tanks of the Allied forces, including the Sherman and the Churchill. It combined rugged military capability with the styling cues of a luxury civilian truck, earning it a reputation for elegance and style amidst the absolute chaos of war. Under the long, imposing hood lay the Hercules DFXE, a massive 895 cubic inch inline-six diesel engine, delivering 185 horsepower and a mountain of torque. Unlike the multi-fuel engines of later years, this was a dedicated diesel powerhouse. The truck featured a ballast box behind the cab to weigh down the rear drive wheels for traction as it towed the 45-ton Rogers trailer. The transmission was complex, featuring a 4-speed main box and a 3-speed auxiliary, giving the driver 12 forward gears to manage immense loads. The Diamond T is legendary not just for its towing capacity, but for its build quality. The cab was fully enclosed, often featuring civilian-grade instrumentation and comfort that was unheard of in other military vehicles. It was the preferred transporter for the British Army in North Africa and Europe due to its reliability. Watching a Diamond T980 roar to life today is an experience. The sound is deep, rhythmic, and powerful. It is rare, massive, and undeniably a classic reminder that instruments of war can possess industrial beauty. When the U.S. Army needed something bigger than the standard truck to tow the massive 155mm long Tom field gun, they turned to Mack. The result was the Mack NO, a vehicle that looks like it was carved out of a solid block of steel. Rated at 7.5 tons, this 6x6 prime mover was a monster of the battlefield. It has a distinctive aggressive appearance with a high flat hood, open cab, and massive tires that look disproportionately large, giving it incredible ground clearance and presence on the field. The Mack NO was powered by the Mack EY engine, a 707 cubic inch petrol engine producing 159 horsepower at 2100 RPM. While that horsepower figure seems low for such a giant, the low gearing allowed it to pull artillery pieces through terrain that would stop a tank. One of the most interesting features was its winch system, located behind the cab but capable of rotating to the front or rear. This allowed the truck to pull itself or its gun out of trouble from virtually any angle. This truck is on the legendary list because of its specialized role and its extreme rarity. Unlike the mass-produced CCKW, only about 2,050 Mack NOs were built, making it an incredibly rare find today. It bridged the gap between standard transport trucks and dedicated tank retrievers. Its robust construction meant that many survived in heavy industry after the war, often modified beyond recognition. Seeing a restored Mack NO towing a long Tom gun is one of the most impressive sights in military reenactment history. Now we cross the Iron Curtain to witness a Czechoslovakian marvel that defies conventional engineering, the Tatra 813, appropriately nicknamed Kolos or the Colossus. Introduced in 1967, this 8A8 heavy utility truck is unlike anything produced in the West. Tatra has always done things differently, and the 813 is the pinnacle of their unique philosophy. Designed to pull heavy artillery and trailers up to 100 tons, it became famous for its ability to go absolutely anywhere, regardless of the terrain conditions. The secret to the Tatra's supremacy is its chassis. Instead of a traditional ladder frame, the 813 uses a central backbone tube chassis. All drivetrain components are housed inside this tube, protecting them from damage. This design allows for independent swing axle suspension for each wheel, meaning the truck can articulate over obstacles while maintaining traction. Powering this beast is a V12 air-cooled diesel engine producing roughly 250 horsepower. The lack of a radiator means one less thing to break in combat, increasing its battlefield reliability. The Tatra 8113 is a legend among off-road enthusiasts and military historians alike. It creates a distinct visual effect when unladen. The wheels tilt inward due to the swing axles, creating a positive camber look like it's walking on its tiptoes. Once loaded, they flatten out for maximum grip. The Kolos can cross trenches nearly 6.5 feet wide and climb vertical steps. It is complex, loud, and utterly brilliant. In the world of extreme off-roading, the Tatra 8113 isn't just a truck, it is a god. If the Tatra is brilliant engineering, the Soviet Kraz 255B is brilliant brutality. Produced in Ukraine from 1967 to 1994, this 6x6 heavy truck earned the nickname Laptezhnik, or Bostshoe, because of its enormously wide balloon-like tires. These tires weren't just for show, they allowed the Kraz to float over mud, swamps, and deep snow that would swallow other vehicles whole. It is the definitive Soviet heavy off-roader, built with zero regard for driver comfort but total dedication to mission completion. Under the massive square hood sits the Yamzy 238, a naturally aspirated 909 cubic inch, 14.9-liter V8 diesel engine producing 240 horsepower. This engine is legendary for its durability and its ability to run on low-quality fuel found in remote areas. Interestingly, despite being a Cold War giant, the Kraz 255B maintained a traditional cab construction, a wooden frame sheathed in sheet metal. The steering is hydraulically assisted, which is fortunate because without it, turning those massive tires would be physically impossible for any human driver. The Kraz 255B is a legend because of its sheer omnipresence in the Eastern Bloc and its raw capability. It served as a pontoon bridge carrier, a fuel tanker, a crane, and a timber hauler. It is loud, vibrates intensely, and belches black smoke, embodying the rugged aesthetic of Soviet industrial power. Watching a Kraz 255B tear through a Siberian mud pit at 40 mph is a visceral experience. It proves that you don't need computers to conquer the elements. You just need big tires, a V8, and a lot of steel. Germany has always been known for precision engineering, and in the late 1970s they applied this to military logistics with the MAN KT-1 series. This is the Category 1 tactical truck of the West German Army. While it comes in various configurations, the 888 is the one you need to see. It looks like a brick on wheels, a flat boxy cab sitting high above the chassis with the engine mounted behind the driver. This design reduced overall height and improved protection against blasts from below. The MAN KT-1 8C8 is powered by a Deutz V8 air-cooled diesel engine, typically delivering up to 320 horsepower. What makes the KT-1 legendary is its advanced suspension system. It ditched traditional leaf springs for coil springs on rigid axles, providing a ride quality and off-road speed of up to 55 mph, allowing it to keep up with Leopard tanks across rough terrain. The chassis is rigid and highly torsion-resistant, making it an incredibly stable platform for sensitive missile launchers and radar systems. The KT-1 represents the modern era of high-mobility military trucks. It is efficient, modular, and incredibly capable. It lacks the romantic curves of the WWE trucks but replaces them with a ruthless, functional Bauhaus aesthetic. It is a favorite today among builders of overland expedition vehicles because it can carry a house on its back and drive up a mountain. The MAN KT-1 is the ultimate expression of German function over form, proving that a box can be beautiful if it is engineered to perfection. We end our list with the undisputed heavyweight champion of the Cold War, the Soviet MAZ 537. If you think the other trucks were big, the MAZ 537 is in a different stratosphere. Entered into service in the early 1960s, this 888 prime mover was designed for one primary purpose: to haul the heaviest Soviet main battle tanks and ballistic missiles. It is a monster of dimensions, width, and power, dominating any road it travels on. The heart of the MAZ 537 is the D12A 525A engine, a massive 2370 cubic inch, 38.9-liter, V12 diesel derived directly from a tank engine. It produces 525 horsepower and consumes fuel at an alarming rate of roughly 2 miles per gallon. The truck features independent suspension on all 8 wheels and power steering on the front 4. It can tow loads of up to 143,000 LABs, 65 metric tons, across rough terrain. The sound of this engine starting up is like a thunderstorm trapped inside a metal box. The MAZ 537 is the ultimate legend because it symbolizes the peak of the Cold War arms race. It was the vehicle that moved the Soviet nuclear deterrent and their armored fist. It is rare, terrifyingly large, and mechanically awesome. Seeing a MAZ 537 in person is intimidating. Standing next to its wheels makes you feel small. It is the fitting finale to our list, a machine built without compromise, designed to move mountains of steel regardless of the cost. From the humble 95 horsepower AEC Matador to the 525 horsepower MAZ 537, these vehicles represent the evolution of military engineering. They are historical artifacts that shape the world. Now I have to ask, if the world ended tomorrow and you could only pick one truck to survive, which one would it be? The simple Studebaker or the complex Tatra? Let me know in the comments. Smash that like button and subscribe for more heavy metal history. Thanks for watching.